Last August, my family took an amazingly wonderful family vacation in Angel Fire, New Mexico. If you have never been, you should go. It's nestled in the beautiful mountains of New Mexico. Breathtaking. Each day we would drive up and find a spot at a trailhead, park the van, and then spend the afternoon hiking into the mountains. One day we pulled off onto a dirt road, got ready to park, and realized it wasn't the best place to park. So I very, very carefully, looking behind me, backed up the van when suddenly, BAM! We hopped out of the van, and we saw that I had backed into a small boulder that was just about 2 feet out of the ground. Couldn't see it for the life of me. I couldn't see it because it was 100% in a blind spot. Our van still wears a deep scar in its bumper. You can see it outside. And whenever we see it as a family, it serves as a household reminder to keep our eyes open for blind spots. As it is with our vehicles, so too it is as we navigate the complexities of our relationships in life. There are countless blind spots, which, if we are not careful, can cause all kinds of unintended damage. The truth is that we are not always aware of how what we do and or what we say impacts others. Sometimes all it takes is a poorly worded email or an inadvertent gesture to cause an offense about which we, the offender, knows nothing about. We are clueless that we had an impact whatsoever. It is also true that the process of uncovering and addressing such blind spots is an extremely challenging endeavor. After all, we have no idea that they exist. Think about some of the things that we likely do all the time. How often are our intentions to give feedback end up being experienced as criticism? How often do our expressions of personal needs get experienced as a lack of confidence in the abilities of those we work with or those we live with? How often do our daily interactions include unintentional elements of our egos or our attitudes or our emotions, which come off as being rather patronizing or dismissive or demoralizing or judgmental? In each of these instances, we may not intend to be offensive or hurtful in any way, shape, or form. And yet, we are. And our faith tells us that we need to be responsible for these as well. Because an offense is an offense, whether we intended it or not. And each of us, according to Judaism, is fully accountable for every offense we commit, even those we do not know we have done. In our liturgy that we just read and will read repeatedly tomorrow, in those confessions of sins, included among them is this one. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bizadon uvishgaga, for the sin we have committed against you, knowingly or unknowingly. Ever since my teenage years, I have been fascinated by this particular confession. It's challenging enough to repent for transgressions that we know we have done. But how are we to begin to repent for things that we don't even know we do? How are we supposed to seek forgiveness if we don't even know we've done something wrong in the first place? And if our goal is to improve ourselves, where do we begin to search for these blind spots in our lives? Well, some of the offenses that we may do inadvertently on a regular basis might include some of the following. failing to publicly recognize the achievements of someone while recognizing the achievements of others, forgetting a special birthday or anniversary, failing to reach out to others in their time of need, failing to keep in touch with members of our family, dismissing the opinions of others or judging them prematurely. Here's a new one. Checking your Apple Watch for a text when it comes across while you're talking with somebody, making them feel as if they might be not worthy of your attention. And during this period of COVID, some of us unknowingly may have transmitted the virus. I know that when I had COVID, I walked around for about a week before I knew I was sick. And I am certain, I know I caused my family to get sick, but I am certain I exposed others as well. And for that, I am deeply sorry. Sometimes our offenses are not what we have done, but rather things that we say or how we say them. How often do we offend others with the tone of our voice or in the words that we choose? How often do we present our ideas in a way that comes off as dogmatic or inflexible? It's my way or the highway. How often do we post something on social media that generates unknown duress or unintended harm? How often do we seem abrupt, dismissive, uninterested, or aloof? These unintentional behaviors are things that we do all the time. In fact, for many of us, they are so common in our everyday interactions that we are completely caught off guard when we come to learn that we have offended someone else or hurt their feelings. Our challenge is that all too often we do not find out about the pain that we have caused until it is too late. For those of us who have ever been on the receiving end of such inadvertent types of offenses, an insult or a dismissive kind of attitude, we know how challenging it can often be to confront the person who has offended us. The crazy thing is, the longer we feel hurt, the longer we hold on to these, the longer we do not communicate that we have felt what we're feeling, the worse things seem to get. From the perspective of one who is on the receiving end of such inadvertent offenses, the consequences can linger and cause ongoing duress. Heavy on our shoulders, we can walk around waiting for that apology that never comes because the person doesn't know they've done something wrong. And then our anger and frustration festers like a sore, and such pent-up resentment and frustration and anger can infect a relationship to the point where it is very difficult to heal. It is therefore extremely important for us to speak up, to speak out when we feel insulted or wronged or dismissed or disrespected, not only for the sake of our relationships, but for the sake of our own sanity, for the sake carrying around such baggage and such anger toward another person can be mentally taxing. Whether it is at home or at work, on the phone or in person, through an email or a text message, in cases where we find ourselves insulted or hurt or offended, it's important to try to address the situation as quickly as possible. Setting aside our fragility or our egos, it's important to understand that those who have upset us can only address their behaviors if they know they have done something wrong. Now, it's not entirely fair to place all of the burden of responsibility on the blind offenders who have offended us. It's not or the receivers. We can't blame the victims and put all the responsibility on them to tell us what's going on. We have to take some ownership as the offenders as well. We can't go around saying things like, if he has a problem with the way I talk, well, he's just going to have to get used to it. That's just who I am. Or, so-and-so is just being super hypersensitive, and I did nothing wrong. Nothing I said should have offended him this much. Well, the truth is that each of us must take responsibility for our words and our actions. Each of us needs to pay better attention to what we say and how we say it, what we do and how we do it, what we post and how we post it. In short, we all need to become more acutely aware of our blind spots. An important step in this process demands that we develop the ability to distinguish between intention and impact. We may intend to provide feedback. We may intend to give a little guidance. We may intend to offer our support. But the way in which we execute these intentions can have a huge difference on the outcome. There's a running joke in our office. Just mention cream cheese to Melissa or Justin, and they will smile or even laugh, because the mere mention of cream cheese brings up a situation that unfolded over the course of a couple of years, if not 3 years, again and again and again. Cream cheese, you say? What a bizarre story he's going to tell, and it is a weird one. You see, when it comes to programs, I get so frustrated if we run out of food. I have this food paranoia that we're going to run out. And as our religious school grew over the course of time, our Sunday morning breakfast, which took place the first Sunday of every month, our family breakfast, also grew. And the demand for cream cheese also grew as the number of bagels being consumed increased. Well, we started running out of cream cheese, which made me meshuggah. The fix is easy enough. Buy more cream cheese, right? Of course. Well, my suggestion was, rather than constantly figure out how many little bricks of cream cheese we have, we buy in bulk. What a Jewish idea. Buy in bulk. It's a bargain. The idea was to buy at Costco or buy at Sam's Club, and we would buy those big tubs, the 32-ounce tubs of cream cheese, buy 2 of them, that's 64 ounces, put them out. It's problem solved. Well, there's a little wrinkle in this idea, because one of the things we pride ourselves on at HCRJ is investing our membership with some of the responsibility and providing people to have buy-in to the program by participating. So one of the ways we would do this for the family family breakfast is that we had different grades be responsible for the breakfast itself. Some people would bring eggs, some people bring fruit, some people would bring cream cheese. So it makes sense that we have other people bring the cream cheese. So 64 ounces, easy, divide it, the 8 ounce things, you get how many? 8, right? 8 bricks. Now, here's the problem. I told you this is a weird story. Here's the problem. Cream cheese comes in different textures. Anybody who's put some schmear on a bagel knows that a whipped cream cheese gets a lot less out of the box or the 8-ounce package than a harder packed cream cheese. Secondly, cream cheese comes in many flavors. There's strawberry cream cheese, there's pineapple cream cheese, there's honey nut cream cheese, there's chive cream cheese. Well, so when we would ask people to bring 8 containers of cream cheese, at least half of them were flavored, leaving only 4 regular cream cheese, and therefore we continued to run out of cream cheese. Well, I wasn't happy because that's part of my Meshuggah personality, that we kept running out. And I would regularly bring this up to the office. We keep running out of cream cheese. We need to do something about the cream cheese. My intentions were only good. My intentions were only to share that maybe we can take care of this cream cheese kerfuffle. What I was blind to was the fact that Melissa and Justin and others in the office were going nuts with my micromanagement of the cream cheese consumption of our congregation. Finally, Melissa came to me and said, "Rabbi, enough with the cream cheese. You may be upset that we're running out of cream cheese, but you know what? How does it make us feel? How do you think it makes us feel that you keep bringing this up? You do your job. You have better things to do with your time than manage the cream cheese consumption of our congregation, and we'll do our job." And that was a really important thing for me to hear. Had Melissa not stepped up and said something, I would probably still be bothering them with cream cheese cry. And furthermore, by recognizing this blind spot, it helped me see that perhaps I was doing this in other aspects of the congregation as well. That I perhaps was micromanaging really silly little things that really didn't demand my time. My intentions were good, but the impact of my actions, which I had no idea was happening, was a blind spot. And once my eyes were open to the fact that I was causing unintentional duress, I was able to own my shortcomings, apologize, and change my ways. Not everyone is as bold as Melissa. Many folks will continue to feel hurt or frustrated and allow unintentional behaviors to continue to go unaddressed. So herein lies an ongoing challenge for all of us with regards to our blind spots. Where might we begin to find assistance in helping us identify issues and concerns before we cause that duress? And what kinds of tools might we have? Like the rear view cameras on our cars help us see the boulder behind us. What kind of tools might we have in our lives to help us identify those blind spots and bring them into full view? And wouldn't it be nice if we had some kind of alarm or sound or signal, something that could tell us every time we're doing something that might hurt someone's feelings or put them off or whatever, that we could see it or hear it before we continue going down that road? Well, the truth is that those signals and signs are there, and these tools are readily at our disposal. We simply need to train ourselves to hear them, to see them, and to use them to help us bring those blind spots into full view. Anyone who has ever had a cat will know that when cats don't feel good, they can't tell us in words, and meows don't do much because they're always meowing anyway. If you've ever owned a cat, you will know that they communicate non-verbally with urine. Yes, urine. Cats will communicate their discomfort or that they're feeling bad by peeing. And they don't just pee. They pee in places that they think you will be the most upset, like your pillow or your bed, and that's not pleasant. At one point, we had 4 elderly cats, and they would get upset because they weren't feeling good, and they would tell us so with their pee. And rather than generating empathy from your rabbi, which it should, I guess, because you care about the cat, or I should care about the cat, it was generating rage. And that is not what the intention is. Those nonverbal communicative elements that a cat offers is something that actually we human beings offer as well. Now, cats, thank goodness, human beings aren't like cats. We don't use pee to tell each other what we are feeling. But we do have other ways to communicate non-verbally, and we do it all the time. We do it in a glance. We might do it in some kind of body language. We might do it in some kind of withdrawal, or whatever it may be. When we express ourselves through stares or unnatural, awkward silence, these are just some of the thousands of ways that we communicate with each other that you are offending me, or you are doing something that I'm uncomfortable with. These are clues that suggest that we are missing the mark in the moment. These are the clues that we need to be more aware of every day. So on this holy and awesome night, on this Day of Atonement, when we say the words Al Chet Shechatanu Lefanecha Bizadon Uvishgaga, for the sin we have committed against you knowingly or unknowingly, we are really reminding ourselves to pay better attention to those around us. When we are reminding ourselves that it is our responsibility to listen better, to open our eyes wider, and ultimately pay more attention to the signs and signals so that we can act and speak in ways that avoid the pitfalls of harming others inadvertently. As we listen to the hallowed strains of the Kol Nidre in just a moment on the cello, let its haunting melody awaken a sense that there are indeed things that we do and say that blindly impact others in a negative way. And let this sacred calling of this Day of Atonement provide each of us with the insight to see, the courage to face, and the strength to overcome those behaviors that lead to unintentional transgressions. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so.